Good morning, class. Welcome for today's lesson on capital structure. So today's lesson is on capital structure. Capital structure. Sometimes we call the cost of capital. Cost of capital is the same thing. So the first thing, for you to tackle this topic, there are various components you need to understand. So the first one, you shall look at the components of capital structure. Components of capital structure, which are just three. So you have three components. Roman one, shall look at the cost of equity. Cost of equity. Cost of equity. Sometimes we call the cost of share capital, or ordinary share. Sometimes we call the ordinary shares. Number two, shall be able to look at the cost of debentures. Cost of debentures. Remember, from a previous lesson, we are able to look at the cost of debentures. We say it is also called the cost of debt. The cost of debt. Number three, the next one is the cost of preference. Cost of preference shares. Cost of preference shares. So on capital structure, these are the components that make up capital structure. So for any capital structure, it must have three components: the cost of equity, the cost of debentures, the cost of preference shares. Cost of preference shares. So what do you mean by saying the cost? For example, assume you want to acquire a loan from a bank, which is a long-term loan. We call the cost of debt. There is a cost you incur. In this case, you have to pay the interest that will accrue to that loan. When you come, for example, the cost of equity. These are ordinary shares. So the ordinary shares you acquire, you have to pay the dividends. So equity, it attracts dividends. The same as preference shares, they also attract what? Dividends. So now we go straight away to calculations. So our main objective on this topic is to be able, number one, our main objective on this topic is to be able to calculate the cost of each component. Cost of each component. The cost of each component. Number two, we shall be able to calculate the weighted average cost of capital. Sometimes we call it WACC. So we are saying weighted average cost of capital. Weighted average cost of capital. Weighted average cost of capital. So those are the two main objectives that we can be able to cover on this topic. So the first thing, let us start with the cost of each capital. The cost of each capital. So how do you get the cost of each capital? I'm talking about each capital. So Roman 1 here, I will start with the cost of equity. Cost of equity. Our abbreviation is KE. K stands for the cost. Sometimes we call it capital. But we're talking about cost of what? Equity. So equity. Cost of equity. So how do you get equity? The first thing is you write KE, which is cost of equity, is equals to DO all over P minus FO minus DO, into 1 plus G again. This formula where KE, I've said where KE is the cost of equity. Equity is the cost of ordinary share. DO is the dividend per share. When you come to G stands for the growth rate. Remember, sometimes the dividends grow. So our G here is the growth rate. Then PO is the current price per share. Sometimes we call the market price per share. the market price per share. Then OFO stands for the flotation cost. Flotation cost. The cost incurred, for example, in terms of advertising, we call the flotation cost. The flotation cost. So these are the aspects that that contain under the cost of equity. Cost of equity. So that's our formula. That is our formula. Number 2, our next formula, which you can be able also to look at, our next formula, so which is cost number 2, is the cost of preference share. The cost of preference share. Preference share. So the abbreviation here is KB. KB. P stands for preference share. So the cost of preference share. Cost of preference share. So how do you get the cost of preference share? Remember, preference share, they also attract dividends. They also attract dividends. So the first thing we will do is you say DO all over PO minus FO. Minus FO. Minus FO. Then remember, you also need to multiply by 100%. So you need to multiply by 100%. Where DO is the dividend per share. Dividend per share. Dividend per share. PO is the PO to our case is the same as the current price per share. Current price per share. Current price per share. FO, in this case, the flotation cost. Flotation cost. So, students, what you are supposed to know is that the preference share do not undergo flotation cost. Flotation cost will only appear in the cost of equity. The cost of equity. So cost of equity. Again, growth rate also appear in the cost of what? In the cost of equity. In the cost of equity. So growth rate only appear in the cost of equity. Number three, another element or another cost we look at is the cost of dependence. Cost of dependence. Cost of dependence. Sometimes we call the cost of debt. Cost of debt. Cost of debt. Which is KD. So we are saying cost of debt. Cost of debt. So which is KD? KD in this case, we are talking about the cost of debt. So how do you get that one? So the cost of debt in this case, is the interest into 1 minus T all over the market price of debt. The market price of debt minus the flotation cost if it is there minus discount. DO in this case the discount. Where let me use just D so that's to differentiate from our DO. So D in this case is the discount, where I is the interest. T is the corporation tax. And MVD in this case is the market price of a debenture, or the market value of a debenture. Market value of debenture. Market value of debenture. So let me go up here. Market value of debenture. Then we have FO. FO in this case, FO is the flotation cost. That one you know, flotation costs. The next one is D. In this case, which is we have said is the discount. Is the discount. So these are the formulas we'll be able to use for us to calculate the cost of each component. The cost of equity, cost of debentures, and the cost of preference share. So the next aspect we need to look at is how do you now calculate. Now we need to put into practice. We need to put these formulas into practice. So how do you calculate? So let us take an example. Let's take this example. So example here, let's look at this example. For example, I will say the capital structure of Ukulima Limited is shown below. The capital structure of Ukulima Limited is shown below. So we have the capital structure of Ukulima Limited. Kurima Limited, which is a company in this case, shown below. So we have here common equity. So number one is the common equity, which is into brackets. We are saying Kenya Shillings 25 per value, 25 per value in this case, 25 per value. The amount here, you have the amount here, which is in terms of thousands here, up there. So we have 5,000, 5,000. Number two, we have 8%, 8% preference share, 8% preference share, shillings, 25, yes, 25 per value. Per means the original value. Sometimes we call the face value or the original value. The amount here is 4,000. Then we have also 10% dependence. 10% dependence. The original value of this is 100 per value. 100 per value. Then we also, the question now proceeds again. The current market value per ordinary share, preference share, and a long-term debt is shillings 15, 29, and 110 respectively. So the question here is giving us the current market value, the current price per ordinary share. So the ordinary share is the same as the equity. So the current value of that, it is 15. Preference share, it is 29. And debentures is 110. They are using the word respectively. So meaning equity, it is 15. Preference share, the current value is 29. And the debentures, which is also called debt, it is 20. So it is 110. The company has just paid a dividend. The company has just paid a dividend of shillings 12 with a growth rate 8%. So they have given the growth rate. So our growth rate in this case is 8% per annum. The issue of preference shares attracts a discount of 5. So preference shares, you are given a discount of 5. And the debentures attract a discount of 10 each. Then we are also given the rate of taxation is 30%. Is 30%. So you are required there to calculate the company's weighted average cost of capital. So how do you calculate the company weighted average cost of capital? So you are required to calculate WACC. In this case, we are talking about the weighted average cost of capital. So a good student there, the first thing, you just write the formula. WACC is equal to weight of equity, cost of equity. I'm saying, first thing, write the formula. Weight of equity, cost of equity, plus weight of preference, cost of preference. Weight of debt plus cost of debt. So that's the first thing. This is your formula, which will be able also to earn your 1 mark, for example. So the first thing, write the formula. WACC, I'm saying weight of equity, cost of equity. Weight of preference, cost of preference. Weight of debt, cost of debt. Now the second thing also you do, now get the cost of equity first. So I get now the cost of equity here. Cost of equity. Which now you go back to your formula. KE, we say is DO all over BO minus flotation cost into 1 plus G at the end. You also need to multiply by 100%. So the first thing from the question, you need to get our DO. So what is DO? DO is the dividend per share. So if you go there, they are saying the current market price per ordinary share, preference share, and the long-term debt is 15, 29, and 110 respectively. the company has just paid a dividend. So listen to that. So the company has just paid a dividend of shillings 12. Now your DO is 12. Now you put 12 into 1 plus. What is G? They are saying a dividend of 12 with a growth rate of 8%. So 8%. So 8%. So 8% is the same as 8 over 100, which is 0.08 all over. PO is the current price. PO is the current price. We are given the current price of 15 shillings. So 15 minus FO. Remember FO, we don't have the flotation cost for KE, for the cost of equity. So our FO is the same as 0. Then what do you do? At the end here we are saying plus G. Our G is growth rate 0.08 times 100%. Times 100%. Times 100%. So what do? You take your calculator, for example, you come and say this is 12 into 1 plus is the same as 1.08 all over 15 times 100 times 100. Body mass here now comes in. You need to multiply the bracket first. Multiply the bracket first. So at the end, your end result, you will get 94.4%. 94.4%. 94.4%. Then you come to the next one. Now you look for the cost of preference. So cost of preference, which we say our formula is DO all over PO minus flotation cost times 100% times 100%. So how do you get DO is the dividend per share. Dividend per share. I can see the dividend per share there is what? Remember, now we need to calculate the dividend per share first. We need to calculate the dividend per share first. So they are saying 8% preference share of shillings 25 per value. This is the dividend. This is the dividend. Now you need to get the DO, which I say 8 over 100 times per share. So per share we are paying per value, it is 25. So what is the dividend there? 25. So if you get 8% of that, your dividend here becomes Kenya shillings 2. So meaning I'm converting 8% to money value. So per share, it will be able to earn Kenya shillings 2 shillings. 2 shillings. That's the first thing you do. So this 8% here, it has a meaning. 8%, these are in terms of dividends. It's in terms of dividend. So what do you do the next thing? So we have here DO is this one. PO is the current price. The current price from our question, the current price there, I can see it is 29. Do we have the flotation cost FO? The FO there, the FO, I can see FO, it is, we are not given FO. So our FO here, it is 0. It is 0. Remember, from our formula, we also said we can subtract D. D in this case is the discount. D in this case is the discount. So we are given a discount of 5. So discount here, it is 5. So this 5. So then I come and say now, my formula, come and say, can write here, KB is equals to DO is the discount. So discount here, sorry, DO is the dividend per share, which is 2 all over PO, it is 29. This minus FO we are not given, which is 0, in this case, minus discount, which is 5, times 100%. Times 100%. So if you do that, then the result here, it is 8.33%. 8.33%. 8.33%. So I can erase here because I'm using this information. So let me erase this up here, the upper part. So the last thing you also need to calculate is the cost of debt, which is KD, cost of debt. Cost of debt is the cost of debt. So how do you get the cost of debt? From a formula, we say to get the cost of debt, from a formula, remember, we say to get the cost of debt, you take the interest into 1 minus T all over market value of debt minus minus D in this case, the discount, minus F. If you are given also the flotation cost times 100%. Where T is the tax. Tax here we are given 30%. 30%. So what are you supposed to do? The first thing, get the interest. Get the interest. Now when you come back, debt here is the same as debentures. The same as debentures. The same as debentures. So what are you supposed to do? The first thing I will have to get is the interest. So I will take the interest of 10 out of 100 times 100% per value. 100% per value. In this case, if you do that one, you get Kenya shillings. You cancel. This is 10. 10. So I come and say now KD is equals to 10 into 1 minus 30% is the same as 0.3 all over market value. My market value I can see there is 110 minus discount. Am I given the discount? No, I'm not given the discount. They have the flotation cost. Yes. From the formula we have the flotation cost. Dependent subtract a discount. A discount of 10. A discount of 10. If you do that, then multiply by 100%. So your end result is 7%. Is 7%. Yes. Now that is the end of our today's lesson. But remember the next lesson, I will be able to cover on how to get the WACC. What I've done is to calculate the cost of each component. Remember, students, what we have done, we have been able to calculate the cost of each component. So in our next clip, we will be able to calculate the WACC, which was our main objective, which was our main question. Remember, our question was asking us how to get the cost of it, the weighted average cost of capital. So to get the weighted average cost of capital, you want to calculate the cost of each component, which I have done. So our next clip, we can be able to see there on how to get the WACC.